people that make a mistake when they share an article is they share the article and that's it. They're trying to look at your LinkedIn profile and understand why did this person share the article, what experiences do they have in this industry, and what's their opinion about that article. But if your first pieces of advice start off with believe in yourself or fail forward or anything like that, you're doing yourself a disservice. You're doing yourself a disservice because you're just banking on the rhetoric that's popular. But the reason it's popular is not because these influencers put it out, it's because these influencers took the concept of failing forward, they took the concept of believing in your passion, and they related their life to it. That's what inspirational content is. It's not just quotes about sharing specific advice that you have. Inspirational content, however, can also be doing a lot of profiles of people in your community. Ask them if you can publicize their story on your profile. Take their story, share it to your audience, and then start to build a relationship off that. That's the number one way I go about networking. Trying as much as possible to find a way to immediately provide value to them. And the number one way I know about doing that is writing. I love writing, I can do it in my sleep. I think it's such a fun thing to do to take my mind off everything else in the world. And when it comes to writing, I take that skill and I apply it to profiling other people that I want to build a relationship with. So if I want to build a relationship with someone, my go-to move is not asking them for something, it's immediately asking them for their story, taking that story, writing about it, or doing a podcast if you're more of an audio person, and then sharing it to my audience. And 99% of the people in this world love talking about themselves. So I'm telling you, most people, if you send them a cold email, they wouldn't reply if you just say, can I have 10 to 15 minutes of coffee with you or something? They will reply though immediately. I've seen this time and time again when you say, oh, by the way, I would love to feature your story on my LinkedIn series below. They'll reply for that because they love talking about themselves. They're constantly looking for places to share their story and their message and their insights. The final piece of content is the most important thing, and it's something that I would, put a bit of cautionary message along with that too, which is if you don't feel like you're ready for it, it's perfectly fine. These are personal anecdotes. A lot of people, I think, will force others to just write personal stories. Not everyone is suited for it. And what I mean by that is maybe you have some stuff that you would like to keep to yourself. For me, I personally now am getting to that phase after about a year where I feel like some people know me more than I know myself. I put myself really out there. I share my entire life to social media. Sometimes I don't like it, sometimes I do. But I really do want to find a balance between the two this year. When people are doing job hunting, the number one piece of advice I give them is talking about the process of job hunting. And a lot of them also want to hear from you. If you got a job recently, talk about your process of getting it. How did you go about setting up that initial email? How did you go about setting up that LinkedIn connection? How did you go about preparing for the interview? Talk about the phases and the things that your audience will likely want to hear from you because they're on that platform to do something very similar. Block that time off not to watch a TV show, but to do your work and to get through your priorities list for the week. That would be my number one piece of advice on time. I think I do really well with my time management only because I don't waste time very much. Like, I have fun, but I make sure that where I sacrifice time for my personal life, I make it up for my professional. Finding out what time period my mind is at its peak. Right. Like, there's no way that you can quote unquote hustle, as people say, for 24 hours.
Well, what I also want to talk about today is everything to do with personal branding or with business. The other thing I think a lot of people struggle with, and this is something I struggle with too, is budgets. What do you think they can do better to leverage the fact that they don't have the budgets to invest in $1,000 of Facebook ads and things like that?
Well, the first is freelancing. Fiverr, F-I-V-E-R-R, or getleverage.com are like two places I go to if I'm just looking for a quick thing. It could be graphic design, it could be web design. My opinion of failure is a bit different because I think the real failure is when you don't move on from something. I think that is a failure in itself, and I think a lot of people fail not because they're scared or because they did something wrong. It's because they had a choice to move on from something and decided not to, and it bothers them within 3, 4, 5 months. And it doesn't allow them to think openly. It doesn't allow them to go after other opportunities. It makes them more skeptical of people. It just puts you in a box that you can't get out. It feels bad, but again, moving on is something everyone has a choice to do. And that's the only thing in our control, and I like to play with things I control, not things I can't. The clear underlying fact in life is that you're constantly learning. And the way you learn is not just by reading, it's by putting yourself in different environments